to start with. To start a quorum, ANC 6E01.
Present.
2,
Here.
3,
Present.
4,
Here.
5,
Here.
6, 7. We have a quorum.
Oh, okay, good.
The next item is to approve the agenda. I will make a notation that number 13 on the agenda, the art project is being postponed until next month. The artist wanted to make sure the renderings were available for the meeting, and that will be on the fence at 5th and K. So they are not going to appear this evening. Is 601 Mass here? Okay. That's number 9 on the agenda. I believe they are also going to be postponing. They're looking for valet service and parking, public space information, but they're not quite ready. Apparently, they're too much still under construction, and public space said, you gotta wait. So those 2 items will be not on tonight's agenda.
479 is this for.
Okay, and number 12, I put zoning for 479 Ridge Street. That should read for the historic organization, not zoning per se. Those corrections being made. Anybody want to make changes to the agenda?
I have 2 items that I'll take up under old business, unless you want me to put them on the agenda separately.
Okay or not, whichever you want to do. Okay. Yes, sir.
We're also historic. Number
10.
10.
Oh, okay. Number 10 is also historic. It's not zoning. Okie dokie. Anybody else? Cool beans. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Everyone has minutes from Miss Karen from last month. So hopefully you've had a chance to read them. And I need a motion to accept minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the March 2015 ANC 60 meetings with corrections submitted to the recording center.
Okay, do I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Frank. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Alrighty, we're ready to go. PSA, you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, 1D, come on up. Say hi.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Sergeant Peter Sheldon. I'm with the 1st District, Patrol Service Area 103. I represent a very small portion of this ANC area. My crime stats only reflect what happened in the portion we own. So mine might sound a little different than the sheet that was passed around, but these crime stats only reflect things that occurred inside the 1st District. So just a quick rundown. Our overall violent crime is up 300%. Robberies up 200%. That's 6 from 2. ADWs, assault with deadly weapons, are up 200%. And our sex abuse cases are down 100%. Last year we had 1, this year we had none. Quick breakdown of the violent crimes that we did have. We had a victim of a crime. He was engaged in extracurricular activities with a prostitute late at night, and 2 of the prostitute's friends came along and robbed him. 2 arrested on scene, and the 3rd subject has an arrest warrant pending. We had a robbery snatch inside a Union Station at the food court. Suspect asked the victim for a $1 bill, then snatched a $10 bill out of the victim's hand. 3rd case, we had a robbery inside 1200 North Capitol Street, the stairwell. 2 complainants were robbed with both their cell phones. We had assault with intent to rob. The complainant was handling, had a bag, and the suspects tried to snatch it. They weren't able to, and an arrest was made on scene. It was interfered by the police. We had a robbery knife. Occurred First and M Street Northwest, of a cell phone. We have video footage of the suspects entering the Tyler house, and we're hoping to identify them. Of the 3 assault with deadly weapons, we had ADW shovel that occurred at 2nd and D Northwest. That's right near the homeless shelter, the Miss Schneider building. We had an ADW knife. It was domestic violence related. An arrest was made on scene. And lastly, we had assault with a deadly weapon and an unknown object at 2nd and D, again, inside the facility, the Miss Schneider facility. And this occurred at 3 in the morning. The suspect is known to the complainant. That sums up the first district's major crime over the last month. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question.
Sir?
It's a little different from what you just presented. Is Lieutenant Green still part of this district? Has he been transferred?
Lieutenant Anthony Green?
Yes.
Lieutenant Anthony Green, I believe, is part of the chief's new criminal interdiction unit. It's being spearheaded by Lieutenant Mufasa Hamid and Lieutenant Green.
So do we have a lieutenant at present that reassigned here?
I don't know. The department recently did a big teletype where approximately 40 lieutenants will move. Historically, in my last 18 years, I've never seen them move a lieutenant and not replace them. So,
They seem to replace them or move around every 10 months to a year. Why so often?
I would have to redirect that to the office of the chief of police. That's a little above my pay grade, sir. So,
I was just curious. It seemed like they get moved around, it seemed like almost every year. So
Right.
they sort of get acclimated to a particular area, you know, what the concerns are for the neighborhood, they get shifted away.
yeah, I would talk to the chief about that, sir. That's above my pay grade. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gideon.
And I would add to it, I'm a Sergeant Fronek, 3D, actually, of this PSA, so I can answer question about Lieutenant Green. He was my boss, yes, he was transferred. At this time, we do not have replacement for him. At this time, his job is handled by Sergeant Lee until we get replacement. Hopefully, should be anytime soon, because it's been about 2 weeks since Lieutenant Green was transferred. So I was asking the commander of 3rd District, he doesn't know, who we getting, we're gonna be getting somebody. Once again, it's up to the chief of police to assign us somebody. Officer Douglas Berlin, who normally attends these meetings, I'm sure you all know him. He couldn't make it today, so I came in his place. But as Sergeant Sheldon said, the crime overall is down a little bit. We have percentages, so it's just like, for example, sex abuse is down 100% because a year ago at this time we had 2, this year we have 0. So, these numbers, when you say the percentages, it sounds like a lot, but usually the crime is historically low. So, let's say ADW, we have increased 25%, but it's increased by 3 cases. And compared to the same time last year, the overall crime is down a little bit, but like I said, it's down by 1-2 incidents in each instance.
So,
Anybody have questions?
so if I'm reading the numbers that we have in front of us, maybe they're different than yours, because we've got sex abuse going up by 3 cases.
Well, I do have 3D stats, so it depends what stats do you have.
This is 3D for the period March 7th through April 2nd.
Right here. This is what they're looking at.
You know what, the stats I was provided with was specifically for ANC 6. So it would be combined 1D and 3D, because it's for ANC 6E.
Oh, that's different.
I pulled those records offline today and I separated them per district so we can see the separate between 3D and 1D.
I mean, I do have specific, I do have specific addresses of each incident that happened, but it's my fault. It's for ANC 6E, which is combined 1D and 3D.
So, but that's actually interesting, because we normally are just looking at the numbers for the districts overall, including areas that aren't in our jurisdiction. So, Commissioner Wiggins, maybe we need to be getting access to the numbers that they're pulling so that they're more relevant to our specific.
We can make a request, see what we come up with.
Yeah, I mean, whatever request, because we have crime analysts, so pretty much whatever search you want to run, you know, she can provide, like, this was done for Lieutenant Green, who is no longer here, and it was just handed to me a couple of hours ago, so I had no time to look into that, but, you know, pretty much the crime analyst, whatever stats we want, whatever crime patterns and stuff, that's her job, she provided for us.
I don't want to pull the records for 1D and 3D. You want to be more extensive in those two districts?
You can be as extensive as you want. She can provide the graphs and the patterns, and you know.
That's really more for a question to my colleagues.
No, they can provide the stats specific to our jurisdiction rather than the entire districts.
That's
I mean,
what I would
obviously,
do.
the third district goes, way to the north and
Right.
includes a lot.
Well, we can
Real
make
estate
a
is
written
not ours.
request and let's see if we can get that.
Well, you can pull it offline at any given time. So it's not something you have to ask to receive. Just go
And you
online
know
and
what's
pull it.
coming next, Frank. Are you volunteering to do that?
Well, that's what I've been, that's
No.
my misunderstanding.
I guess the issue is, do we have the ability to do the same kind of searches specifically just within our jurisdiction that were being provided to a lieutenant and now a sergeant?
I believe so.
Okay.
Remember that resource, that link at the bottom of the page, it gives you stats for every single district, every single ward, you should just. pull it
Yeah,
up.
no.
Before we discuss this, do we have anything else for our police officers this evening?
I just want to piggyback what, yes, you do have access to what you thought you had. There's no different, the way we've been taught and instructed, there's no difference between our databases and your database. It's very transparent.
Okay, that's cool. Any questions for 3D from Abraham?
Good evening. You may have already said this, I was a little late. Who is the new lieutenant?
We don't know yet. That person has not been assigned. It's in the works. We'll find out as soon as we can. Anyone else have a question? Okay, officers, thank you so very much. We'll see you next month. I know that we use this library space be using it every month this year, and we're always delighted for the person who is in charge to be introduced and share something about the library with us. We are lucky enough to have a new interim manager here, and if you'd like to come forward, introduce yourself and tell us something.
All right. My name is Bridget Body. I'm the interim manager here at the Wattie Daniel Shaw Library. I've been here 1 week. So my knowledge base is a little low at this time. I have been working for the library system for over 3 years. I've been the manager of Children's and Teen Services at MLK Library. So I'm here just kind of covering the departments, helping with the branch and everything until they hire a new branch manager. So as far as we have lots of fun and exciting activities going on here at Shaw, we have great cooking classes, we have book clubs, we have wonderful children's programs, so please come and join us here at the branch to attend a lot of our fun programs.
Very cool. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We also have in the audience the librarians from Northwest One. Wave and say hi. She misses us, so she comes to the meeting this year. All righty, moving right along. We are ABRA applications. We have 2 in front of us this evening. Alex, you're chair of that subcommittee. Would you like to begin?
Certainly. The first of the 2 cases that we'll be hearing this evening is Macaro at 1420 8th Street Northwest in the City Market Development. If we can have council and representatives for this applicant come forward.
Good evening, Andrew Klein here on behalf of the applicant, and with me is the applicant. Say hello.
Hi everyone, I'm Robert Gadsby.
Robert, give them 3 minutes on your concept.
Oh, okay.
Or 2.
3 minutes. So basically, it's originally the plan was to produce a actually a wine bar. I've changed it now to be a food and wine bar due to the fact the size of the space is 1,200 square feet, approximately 50 seats. At the time it open, we'll only be open for dinner from 5:30 to 11:30. Once we've established, we'll probably do lunch also. We'll be serving full liquor license, which is beer, wine, and spirits. The menu will be changed every month with the seasons. Very small menu consisting of small plates and full plates. Appetizers, entrees, desserts. The most expensive thing on the menu will be $23 as an entree.
Just to be clear, this is for 51 seats, 13 seats in an unenclosed cafe area. There's no request for entertainment endorsement, and it is a request for a CR license.
Thank you. In our committee's conversation with a representative from your office, Mr. Klein, it was indicated that the outdoor seating was being deleted from the application.
Are we doing that?
We'll probably delete it, given the fact there's such a short window, the year, given the
And it's
weather's
a
always
terribly narrow sidewalk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
So we'd have to come back before you anyway for obviously the public space approval.
All right, but what the committee's recommendation was that the full commission support the application with the understanding that there would not be outdoor seating and that there was no entertainment endorsement.
There is no entertainment endorsement. None was sought initially, and we will withdraw the cafe endorsement. And if we decide to go forward, then we'll reapply and be replacarded, and we'll be back before you.
That was the committee's recommendation. This location is in my single member district in the City Market at O development, and I will go ahead and make a motion that ANC 6E support the application for Bacaro at 1420 8th Street Northwest, and that we communicate that support to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board and the Alcoholic Beverage Regulatory Administration. And I would ask for a second.
A second.
Are we asking for a settlement agreement?
Due to the nature of the operation being completely enclosed within the building, we didn't feel that there was a need for a settlement agreement on this, because all trash and noise issues are only going to be interior to the space.
Okie dokie. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion by the commission? Hearing none. Any comments from the peanut gallery out there? Anybody interested in making a comment? Okie dokie. We would then like to vote. So, all in favor of approving Bacaro and sending something to Arbor saying we would love to see them in our neighborhood, please signify. Aye. Anyone opposed? And one abstention. So we are 6-0-1, Karen. Okay, and I want to make sure that...
That's wrong?
No.
Rita's not here.
5-0-1. I want to make sure that, Frank, make sure that you give your card or your name to the note taker, please, just so that she has it for the minutes.
Sure.
Correct name and everything. Okay, doke. In which case, we look forward to seeing you in our neighborhood soon.
Just a note that we do need to submit the Commission's correspondence within 7 days of today. The ABC Board agreed to postpone the date for our correspondence to be received because the response date was actually yesterday.
And we agreed to that for the record.
Okie dokie, we shall do that.
Thank you.
Be getting on it. Thank you so much for coming. The second Arbor request for the evening is for a new establishment called Trinity. And Joe and company are here. Please come on up.
Hello everybody. My name is Joe Engler, and I plan to open up a new concept, tavern concept. It's my partner Amber. It's 1606 7th, It's going to be a barbecue concept with a, for now, we're planning to have a food truck in our back patio, and we rotate cuisine, but we're going to start off with a barbecue concept. We do have a summer garden behind our establishment. We do plan on having DJs, but only inside the establishment. And that is basically the gist.
So the applicants did come before the ABC Licensing Committee, and there was significant concern raised by the members of the committee related to the outdoor portion of the operation. If folks don't know where this particular establishment is scheduled or proposed to operate, it's on the same block as the Dasha Beer Garden. So we have families that live 10 feet from the back of the summer garden for this establishment. As many of you know, originally Dasha was intended to have about 129 people as their capacity. If anyone has gone by there on a summer or a warm afternoon, you know that it's more like 400 people. And the level of sound transmission there is unbearable for the neighbors, and I hope that we do have some folks, I do see some folks from the neighborhood that are present and allow them to speak from their own perspective. There was also a concern raised about the fact that there would not be a kitchen at the establishment, that a food truck would be parked in the summer garden, in the backyard, and that also was a source of concern to the folks that will be living 10 feet away from that particular aspect of the operation. So the ABC Licensing Committee actually recommended that the commission protest this license application.
My only comment is I don't think we should judge one business on the basis of what another business did. I mean, you have to judge everybody individually on their own merits. So at the committee meeting, I was also not against them having a license, but I do understand that the neighbors will be concerned with the noise and whatever, but I think we have to judge it on the merits of this is Trinity, this is not Dasha. And what happened with one restaurant doesn't necessarily reflect what might happen with another one, and that's just my personal opinion on that. That's not to say that, you know, the committee voted not to support, and therefore we have to make sure that we think about this very carefully. So, Alex, since this...
I can make a motion to we take comments.
Can I comment?
Yeah, any commissioners who want to make a comment?
So I spoke with some people who were not in support of the establishment last night, and I understand their frustration, but these are the same people who were very pro, very pro the beer garden a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. So it's very hard for me to wrap around the change of opinion when they were so for the beer garden, but now that's slightly closer to their home, they are against Trinity. So I thought about it last night, and I do understand, because I voted against the whole beer garden concept. I mean, that was on public record. I knew it was going to be loud and all that, but so be it. But my question I pose to those people are, if not Trinity, the next one that comes along, what if you don't like them either? So when you can't, as Marv was pointing out, you can't necessarily judge the establishment, because you might, if they do not get their license, the next one might be the same problem, and the next one. So I don't necessarily quite, it is what it is. It's 7th Street, Dacha Beer Garden is there already, you can't compare them. And I worry that the next one, you might not like that either, so.
Any other comments, commissioners? Okay, you want to?
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion, and then I would like representatives from the Civic Association, the neighborhood, and neighbors to add their 2 cents. I'm going to move that Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6E protest the license application for Trinity, and that we communicate that information to the ABC Board and the Alcoholic Beverage Regulatory Administration. I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
Okay, so you want to call?
Okay, we've already had some discussion from commissioners. If you would like to speak on this issue, I would ask you to please limit your comments to approximately 2 minutes so that we don't get overwhelmed if there's a lot of people and we have to tell you you can't have a chance to speak. And I don't want to do that. So, gentleman in the orange shirt, would you like to state your name?
Sure, my name's Lee Davis. I live,
Would you like to come up here so you can have a
Sure.
mic? Because you're dressed to the hilt.
How do you spell your last name?
Goebes. So I live on the odd side of the 1600 block of 8th Street, so that would be my backyard, basically. I think the difference between this and the beer garden, and I'll take you at your word that whatever you would get approved for in terms of numbers, you'd stick to that. I'm not comparing you to the beer garden in that way. You're a different person. The problem is the beer garden, it primarily faces Q Street, and across from Q Street are not single-family residences. There's an apartment building there, but the residences are higher up. They're better able to deal with noise. This proposed establishment, and the inside part I welcome, that sounds great. It's the outside part that bothers me because unlike the beer garden that the noise primarily goes onto Q Street, which is not as residential, this would literally, as Alex said, be 10 feet from many backyards. I don't know, and I was racking my brain today, are there other businesses in the district where there is a late night business that serves alcohol that directly abuts a residential?
I have 7 or 8
Wow.
of them
You
already
have-
in the city, sure.
And where are those?
On 8th Street Northeast, on 9th Street, on Capitol Hill.
And they're
on-
directly
Correct.
across from,
If not closer, sure.
and are there barriers or is there any way, it's just gonna sound like it's in my kid's room.
Well, acoustics can be handled, sound can be handled if you bring in engineers, if you work with neighbors, and we've done it over and over again. I think the biggest problem with noise is usually bass, which is live music. If there's no music on the patio, it's voices. And I
Well,
think
and
those
again, not
can
to
be,
compare you to the beer garden, they don't have outside music and those voices really,
well, it's a totally open space with no containment at all.
Right.
No dampeners, no anything. I mean, there's many ways to attack noise.
and do you have any of those in your
Sure, I mean, anything
proposal
from
that-
plants to high walls to deflectors. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. If noise is the issue, then you can address the
I mean,
noise.
noise is certainly,
Correct.
Discussion of an 8-foot wall, cinder block wall with plants and wood.
In taller, if we're allowed, there's different,
is there gonna be entrance to it from the back?
no.
I mean,
Exit,
will there
exit
be-
only.
Exit only for the traffic.
And will people be, or is it just a fire thing?
Fire only, yeah, you couldn't, it would be, fire rigged, it would be a bell, we wouldn't let anybody through.
The other is,
I'm sorry, your time is just about finished.
I can
so-
talk to you afterwards, though, if you want.
Joe will talk to you afterwards, or you guys can set up some other time to meet.
Sure.
I think what Joe is saying is that a lot of his other establishments back onto private owned homes. So it's not something new to him, and I'm sure he's going to be willing to work with the community on whatever. And again, I'm saying it, you cannot compare Dasha to this, and it's unfair to do that. But
I'm just comparing the location, I'm not comparing him as a business person to them or what they promised,
okay,
which they haven't lived up to. But
Well,
I'm not saying he won't.
we're not addressing that.
Um,
Other comments from people
Yeah,
in the
gladly talk to you after
neighborhood?
this. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Should I come up?
You can come up.
All right.
Please state your name so the note taker has it.
Sure, it's David McNitt. I live at the corner of 8th and Q. So sort of have alley access through the corner of my house, and then I'm sort of on the same, I'm in the proximity of this proposed bar. I just wanted to say one thing to the support for Dacha, and this is not to compare it to Dacha, this is to talk about the precedent that we were trying to set for the neighborhood. I spoke in favor of Dacha and the concept at that ANC meeting. I also took a day off of work and went to HBRB and testified on their behalf to get a building permitted on the rear of the property. That's pretty key. That building was foundational to our approval of, or our support for Dacha, because it was going to put a building that would block all noise and prevent outdoor drinking that directly abutted residential properties. Now, we trusted Dacha that they were going to build this, so we let them open early and have one season so they get revenue going and get the money to build that. But never ever did we endorse basically outdoor drinking that's going to butt directly to residential property. So this would be a precedent as far as neighborhood support. This would be a new thing. My biggest concern about this is, one, the noise will affect me to some degree. But I love dive bars. I love some of your other properties. I go there all the time. I'm a frequent customer. I like beer a lot, a lot more than the next guy. But I love my neighbors more. And Shaw is the geographic center of the city. This is going to be the most in-demand commercial property in the city at some point, if it isn't already. We need to make choices about what this is going to be. And I think we can make choices for successful businesses that also allow for families and kids to live next to them. And I think if we set that bar for supporting new businesses at just don't make it difficult for people that live there for 5 years, for 30 years, for generations, don't make it difficult for them to live there with you. And then we'll welcome you with open arms. And I think that's a pretty good bar to set, a pretty good precedent to set. And I hope that we can welcome your business into the neighborhood, but in a way that isn't going to make life really, really hard for all those kids. I think there's 6 or 7 kids that live right on that block, and those families that care about the schools, care about responsible development in the neighborhood. So that's all I would have to say. That we weren't trying to set a precedent with Dacha. We were trying to set a precedent of basic commercial-facing open door drinking or outdoor drinking. But so this would be sort of a different proposal from not to compare it to Dacha, but just as the precedent is concerned.
So let me just put this out, because once again, I just can't, this whole concept of choosing the type, like what if a titty bar says, what if they don't make it, and a titty bar comes up and goes, we want to be there, we don't have any outside business, so then people would be upset about that. So I think the problem is that the neighbors